Immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm covering another release by Johnny Turbo's Arcade, Too Crude. Too Crude is an awesome side-scrolling arcade brawler, and it's post-apocalyptic. It's fun, and I'm going to check it out, show first stage or so, and give you my thoughts about it. Let's check it out. Of Too Crude, called Crude Buster in Japan. This is a great side-scrolling brawler, and this is kind of a unofficial follow-up to Bad Dudes. A lot of people think that this is a much better game, including myself. And really happy that the Switch is getting an arcade release of this. And so, like the other Johnny Turbo's arcade releases, there's several features on the left here on the title screen. There's save states. You can go into here, aspect ratio. You can switch to 4:3, 16:9, or filled. I like 4:3. I like to play with the classic aspect ratio of the arcade game. You go back here, and screen style, they have a lot of different variations: scanline round, composite, RGB, S-video, and VHS. I've covered these with the other releases, minus Wizard Fire, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. And yeah, so here we go. Let's go ahead and play. Alright, here we go. Pretty much a nuclear explosion in 2010. This is centered in New York, and pretty much it's a kind of your typical kind of early 90s premise. You know, everything was nuclear back then. And then 20 years after, everything's in shambles. And the government hires, pretty much two mercenaries to clean up Big Valley, which is a terrorist organization. And so you play, one of these mercenaries cleaning up the streets. This was of a large volley of different brawlers coming out in the early 90s. This one's pretty interesting. And so it's got kind of a more of a cartoony look. And there wasn't many there's only one home port of this on the Genesis. And so this is how the game starts. And it's called Too Crude. The Genesis version is called Too Crude Dudes. Makes more sense. So, the simple mechanics are punch and kick, punch. You can lift up things and throw them at the enemies. And it's got a lot of really colorful graphics. The one thing with the Genesis home port, it didn't have the color of the arcade. So, if you find yourself stuck in the game, you just punch and kick and you break the barrier. I'm just going to show the first level. Now, there's 6 levels. Now, the levels are long, so there's only 6 levels, but, it's a decent length game, even though there's only 6 levels. So, you can pick up enemies. It's got your simple jump kick. You can go up, you can go down by pressing up and down and B on the Switch controller. Now, this is a great 2-player game. So, the benefit of this game is that it makes a great kind of arcade romp with a friend, and it's fun, it's funny. I think that the reason why I like it better than Bad Dudes is just the animation is better, the graphics are definitely better. I like the graffiti and kind of the grime that the game shows of the levels. It's got cool bosses too. If you like, if you like fighting boss fights, I like this game for that reason. Not the best player at this. I haven't played this in a long time. I don't ever remember seeing the arcade machine of this. Again, it came out in 91, and by then, arcades were kind of in the decline. So I just wanted to show some of the gameplay. You can pick up enemies. If you play with 2 players, you can pick up players, and that's kind of fun. Now, the other thing funny thing about this game is that you can get energy pickups of Power Cola. Now, in Japan, it was Budweiser. Thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, picking up items is definitely going to be the way to romp through this. I found that throwing things versus doing hand-to-hand combat, keeping it at a distance, But there's a lot of really cool henchmen in this game. The first boss, you know, Snake Man. Pretty much the secret with the first boss is to jump kick. Just keep him at a distance. That's an easy way of getting through this boss. Avoid the jump kick from him. Got caught by a snake.
Hey, cool.
All right, time to drink the Power Cola.
Let's fight. Jingle bells.
One thing I like about the game is it has really colorful levels. And I thought it was just better animated with better graphics than Bad Dudes. So Bad Dudes is classic, but I enjoyed this one a little bit more. And I haven't played this in a while, and so it was nice to kind of go back and experience this. I played the Genesis one quite a bit, and honestly, I haven't played the arcade one, which is better. So if you are getting the Genesis version, which is called Two Crude Dudes, which ironically is what Johnny Turbo's arcade is calling it, but the arcade is called Too Crude, and so there's kind of a name confusion with this game. It's really cool that they have released this. This is one of Johnny Turbo's arcade's better releases. Now here's a funny thing. Now on the Wii edition, now there is a Wii edition of this arcade game. There's like hidden artwork and stuff. And I've talked about this on my other videos, but I really wish that there would be more unlockables for with these arcade games. And so I think it would go farther by offering, you know, achievements or some type of unlockables or even story about, you know, I think there's interesting history about, you know, what made the developers decide to go with, you know, this art style. And what's the backstory of how they created it. I'd love to hear all that stuff. And that gets kind of lost sometimes as time goes on. You know, when someone gets the rights to release a game versus the people that actually made the game, I think sometimes that gets kind of forgotten about. And so those are the types of things, you know, just because I'm interested in history, I would like to know all that stuff. And so I know that there's some websites that cover arcade ROMs and things, but I'd love to see, you know, what was the backstory of this game being made or artwork, all that stuff. And so the Wii Data East collection has some of that on there, and so it's kind of nice. It's nice to see that. This is a mid-boss. Now in the Japanese version, stages 2 and 4 are reversed, and so it's important to know that. So yeah, I just wanted to show a little bit of the gameplay and show you a little bit of what you're kind of getting into, and hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I think Too Crude is great. $7, I like it better than Bad Dudes. I think there's more oomph to it and some varied gameplay. I think it's fun. Check it out. It's on the Switch eShop right now. Also, they recently released Wizard Fire. And Wizard Fire is a follow-up to Gate of Doom. I did a review of that. I just didn't have time to do the review for Wizard Fire. I may still do it. Who knows? It's a great game, and I like it better than Gate of Doom as well. So it's nice that Johnny Turbo's Arcade series is going and releasing these awesome, kind of semi-obscure arcade releases. You know, now that the Virtual Console is not happening, you know, this is going to be the only way to get arcade experiences on your Switch. Also, the home releases. Again, there's only one port of this to the Sega Genesis, and that's Two Crude Dudes. And this is kind of a pretty uncommon game to get, especially complete. And there's also an arcade port on the Data East Classics. And so this is kind of a sought-after Wii game, and I wanted to show that in this video. So if you're looking for other experiences connected to this game, there you have it. Thank you so much for people continuing to tune in to my humble channel as now I march towards 70,000 subs. Thank you for everybody taking time out of their day to look at my channel. This is the Immortal Johnny Hancock. You take care.